Hey guys, so Phil here. We do have a video for this week. It is now Friday. It's really early on Friday, but it's Friday. And I recorded a video for you guys, and I promise we will get to that in a minute. But first, I don't know, I kind of wanted to touch on a couple of things, maybe a handful of things, before we get to that point. And I will say up front that this particular video for this week was not something that was simple or easy for me to do. You may hear me say that in the intro of the actual recorded video, but then as you watch it, there's not necessarily a whole lot of what I will call active surface emotion. So basically you can't necessarily see it, but it's certainly there. Damn, I'm saying a lot tonight. Yeah, so it's there, but it's just not on the surface, just because of the way that I recorded it. I recorded it at a point where I figured that I would be able to get through all of the content that is there that needs to be pushed through, and that's why I recorded it a bit early, is because I wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to get through the whole thing in time to have it uploaded for you guys so that you could watch it over the weekend or early next week or whatever, just because I wasn't sure exactly how my schedule was going to go as far as recording. So I really wanted to make sure that we got that in. So I got one good take, and it worked and it fits. But compared to, so the content compared to my, I guess, presentation, maybe it matches up, maybe it doesn't. Just as far as like emotion, I'm saying a lot of things, but it's kind of in like a monotone way, or not really monotone, but I'm just kind of going through it and I'm giving you the info, and I'm reading it from the blog post and adding and tweaking a couple of things here and there. But it's not like you'll get it more when you see the thing. So compared to the level that the content is at, versus my performance, maybe it's a bit different. I don't know, I just felt like I needed to maybe point that out, just so that you don't think that I'm faking it, or that it's like totally rehearsed, or that it's not a big deal. This one is definitely a big deal. This one is the one video in the whole series so far, and probably even still up to this point, even once we push through the last couple of posts in the next few weeks. It is definitely the post that I had the most difficulty to come up with and write and record as well for you guys. And I know that some of you, have told me over the last few months, hey, I want you to teach me more stuff. I want to know what it's like. I want to hear about those sorts of things. So I have tried to do that. I have tried to give, as best I can, my perspective in regards to these issues and these things, and just the way that I work through them, and things that I struggle with, the things that I rant and rave about and get pissed off about. I struggle with those things, and sometimes I try to motivate you guys, and actually a lot of the time I try to motivate you guys. I don't know whether it works or not. That's up to you. You guys can tell me if you want. You don't have to, whatever. I really just put these out there so that maybe somewhere along the line one person can get something out of it. If one person can get something out of it at one point or another, then my job is done. If all of you get something out of it, awesome, great. If it's just the one person and all the rest of you don't get shit out of it, then that's just the way it is, and there's not anything I can do about that. So I try not to let it bug me. Anyways, so this one is important just because I'm as honest as I do my best to be as honest as possible in all of these, and in what I tell you guys, and in how I instruct you, and all of those sorts of things. But this one is particularly important to me because I may say in there somewhere, and I think it's towards the beginning, that hey, this is a look into my brain and my mind and kind of just the way I think, and it is. Don't get me wrong. It's not that it's not that. It certainly is that, but it's also more than that. And this is going to sound weird or crazy or stupid, but it's true, and I hold to it. It's also a look into my soul, and that's not something that I hand out lightly. Even if you get nothing out of it, I still expect you at some level to respect the fact that that is what I am trying to give by giving this. It doesn't necessarily mean that you will understand it all. That's not the point. You can respect something and still not understand it completely. If you do understand it on some level, awesome, great. If you want to talk about it, if you have questions, if you have comments, I'm still here to do all those things, and that's okay in this case still. But I just want you to understand that it is not something that is made up, and it is not fake, and it is not something that I am just doing to get the views. Okay, I really only get a handful of views on each of these. I will just tell you that straight up at this point. Maybe later that will change. I don't know. But for the most part, I can get a lot of viewership as it is anyway, so I'm obviously not in this for the views and, for making the money. I mean, come on, if I wanted to make money, I would be recording video game gameplay and uploading that and spreading it to everybody on every form of social media possible and have everybody watch it and do that. But that's not why I'm here. That's not what I'm doing. That's not what I want to do. If people watch it, great. If people don't watch it right now, fine. It's still there as a resource for anyone who comes along later and who needs some video or another, or a series of them, or all of them. I don't know. I just want to set this up so that it's there, and this particular post is part of the blog series, so it's only fair that it also goes up as well, but it is certainly not something in this case that I take lightly. So, take that for what you will. Anyways, I'll let you guys get to the video. Peace. Hey guys, Phil here again with you for another episode of FWP. For those of you who haven't figured that out yet, it's Fridays with Phil. It's just shorter that way, it fits better in the title, so I changed it. But it still means the same thing. So, anyhow, welcome back. Yeah, so if you've looked at Well, okay, let's get this out of the way first. Yes, I got new glasses. They look alright. They're pretty cool, I guess. But I don't know, there's some glare and whatever. So yeah, they're cool. I got some new ones. Anyhow, they're not fake or anything, and they're not the big, huge, giant, plastic-looking ones that, you know, like all the freaking hipster people wear and whatever. Anyway, not important. Let's move on. Okay, so we have reached the point in the list of blog posts now that I am supposed to be recounting for you guys, just so that it can bring you up to speed with where I'm at, and we have hit a point now. I guess I originally wrote this, March of this year, so it's been, you know, since the middle of last semester since I wrote this, and I have aptly named it Grab Something to Drink. This one will take you a while, and then in brackets it says a spiritual warfare encounter, which I will explain. But no, seriously, go get yourself something to drink if you need it, or something to eat. Before you continue watching this, you know, feel free to push pause. I'm not going to know that you pushed pause to go get yourself something to drink or whatever, but honestly, looking at the length of this, that was the reason that I named it this. It's just because it's long enough that you're probably going to want something. I don't, because I have to focus on getting through it. This one is not something that is going to be simple for me to process and get through, even though I am the one that wrote it, and I've read it several times since having written it, but it is still a tough one, just because it was, well, you'll see what I mean, but if it takes me a bit to get through a part of it, or, you know, if I screw it up or something and have to redo it, just bear with me, because it's no easier for me to say than it was for me to write it the first time at this point, and it's just because of the nature of the content. It's not offensive or anything like that. I'll just say that up front. It's not offensive, it's just difficult, because when these sorts of things happen, normally I don't take to the internet to describe it and share it with everybody, because for whatever reason I would rather just deal with it myself. I guess because it makes me seem less crazy than I already seem for most people. But in this case, I put it out there. Anyhow, let's get started. So there's a note here at the beginning, because I was late in publishing it to the list of posts, just because of the nature of the content contained therein. However, I've decided that I want you to be able to see what it can look like inside of my head, even if it's only for the briefest of glimpses that you see it. I do this to help prove that everyone, even those that you think are completely stable, everybody goes through mental and spiritual warfare, and the following is what it looks like when it is fully engaged for me. Now, back to current Phil. All of the following is something that already happened, and I am just recounting it for you so that you don't have to read it. I will read it and go through the story and the content with you, but that does not necessarily mean that it is currently happening, although it is a bit difficult at times to deal with. This is not currently happening. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Anyhow, so yeah, this is what going through mental and spiritual warfare looks like for me. Let's see. Let's take a shot at this in my post Facebook chapter, because this was after I quit Facebook. I'll go ahead and address that bit first, so that the question or questions don't drag out endlessly. Again, I'm reading this from the post. Anyhow, I gave what I figured was plenty of time for everyone who needed to read it, to read the post based on how often I saw people were normally being active on the site. Some people read it and other people didn't. Some agreed with it, some disagreed, some were confused, some were mad, and I'm sure there were other feelings present that I wasn't aware of, but this all seemed to encompass the normal human response to something unexpected, so I expected it at some level. I will say that my world has not exploded or imploded as a result of leaving the site behind, and I still interact with people on a consistent basis without issue. So it seems to have worked as far as I can tell. I know there are a lot of people who need it or want it or enjoy using it. More power to you, my friend. But remember, with great power and or great beard comes great responsibility. So be careful what you do with it. I suppose at this junction we will see if anybody reads or watches these because they want to or because it was something to click on Facebook. Anyways, let us journey on. Depending on who you ask, some people will say that I am too young. Others, some people say I'm too young. Some people just say I don't get it. And some will say that it doesn't matter. Some people refer me to others. Basically, they go to other people and say, hey, you should talk to Phil, based on advice they get from me. Some say I just don't know enough to give advice properly. I have no idea. There's so much I have not done, seen, heard, or learned in the past 2 decades that how could I possibly do so properly? How could I really give you meaningful advice with all the things that I haven't done and haven't experienced? I spend more time dreaming and thinking about things I cannot fix in the world, but wish I could, than I do actually doing things. And then I start worrying about those things at one stage or another, sometimes to the point that my body freaks out and I have to calm it down. I've said this before somewhere here, but I don't feel like going to find it on here again, so here it is again. When someone asks me what I do when I'm not with friends and I'm not studying at 2 a.m. on some random night, I'm never really sure how to explain what would be the appropriate response of dreaming, thinking, and worrying about things I don't fully understand. I've heard that we're not supposed to fear or worry about anything so long as we trust in God. But we have free will, and someone has to be concerned about those things, or we will all be dead before they get fixed, because God works through us, not for us. I've tried to talk through these things with people before, but there's a problem with that too. It's not that others don't or can't understand these things, or they don't want to. It's that I don't have a proper way to explain them because I cannot do so concisely and coherently. There are emotions and feelings connected to some of these things that I still haven't worked out how to translate into words. which in the end helps none of us, because without them it sounds like a bunch of gibberish, and I come off as a babbling crazy idiot or crazy person saying paragraph after paragraph of nothing of import or rational thought. At the same time, though, I want to say I'm not making this up. I just don't know how to explain it. Oh, I bet that at least one of you who hears this or goes back and reads it will attempt to contact me out of concern after seeing it or hearing it. And the conversation would go something like one of these. You. Hey, are you okay? Me. No. You. Why? What's wrong? Me. All kinds of things. You. Well, like what? Tell me. Me. I can't. You. Why not? Me. I don't know. You. How can you not know? Me. I don't know. I just don't. Of course, there may be more to it, or in a different way, but it would be something similar to the above. And my responses are not intended to be rude. It's just the way it is when it comes to the things that I worry about but can't explain or express because I haven't worked out how to do it. Sitting here just now, I had a bit of an idea, and I have no idea where it lands on the scale between crazy and insane. Yes, that's an actual scale for me. But I'll throw it out there anyways, just for fun, and maybe it will help me and at least one of you, or none of you. I really have no idea, but let's go for it anyways, shall we? The idea is simple and yet extremely complex and complicated. Yes, I said the same thing twice, more or less, and yes, I contradicted myself. I will attempt to put words to these ideas, emotions, and worries as I try to understand them. This is not at all necessarily going to make sense, as it will be a self-extraction directly to the keyboard with regard to these things, because that is the only way I can see to keep some part of my sanity present during the process. Editing in a formal way would defeat the point, so think of it like extreme brain dumping or brainstorming, if that helps. If you understand some part or the whole of it, great. If you don't, no big deal. Maybe by the time I die, someday, someone will come along who understands it enough to make a difference where I cannot. There is at least some bit of hope for that. Piano. There is something awesomely gravitationally pulley about it, but I'll never learn to play the thing. I can't focus on instruments long enough to be any good, but I could listen for hours, and I do. I don't care if it sounds good. It's just the sounds. Plenty of music gets annoying after too long. That's why I have so many different Pandora stations. If you don't believe me, I'll take a screenshot. I have so many different Pandora stations because I need to change them. I used to change my desktop wallpaper a lot too, until I got bored looking for new images, because I tend to lack that sense of wonder nowadays. I talk to myself a lot, like all the time, but I heard somewhere that some people do it subconsciously to keep organized. Maybe that's why. I don't know. Some people have called me a genius, but I can't be. Geniuses, they have innovative ideas for new things. Ideas for new ways of doing things. But me, nah. Well, I guess there is that idea I had years ago of being able to use your eyes to take pictures in the same quality that your eyes see the things at. But there isn't any tech for that. But if someone uses that, you're welcome for the idea. Congratulations on something that'll make you a shitload of money. No. Geniuses either go to college for something really complicated, or they're smart enough to drop out of college and start or create something that later becomes a massive hit. And if they go to college, they do that after they graduate. They come up with something awesome after they graduate. On top of that, there's probably only like less than 5% of people who are geniuses. So no, I'm not a genius, I guess. Sometimes I think about nothing. I just space out and nothing gets checked in or out. It's a real thing, but nobody seems to think it's possible to think about nothing. Why doesn't every college campus everywhere have a food place that's open 24 hours a day? Don't they know they can make a bunch of money? And then they could lower tuition costs because they could pay the professors and the staff a reasonable salary and use the food revenue to help. And why is there such a debate over actions counting more than words? Shouldn't they count the same? If words don't count, we wouldn't care about music, but we do. And no one would write books or poetry because it would be useless junk. Books don't have feet or hands. They don't do things themselves. We have hands. We do things. But those things do matter. Those other things do matter just as much, because they produce a physical or chemical change within us in the right situation, and then we go and do things. So I wonder why people like music that doesn't say much. I think maybe they do it because the news says it's good, or the media says it's good, or because their friends are saying it's good music. Although maybe the news people need beards. If they had beards, maybe they would be smart enough to understand the responsibility that they have to us who know less than they do. Why do some people choose not to help? Why do they ignore it? If they know they could do good and could fight for good, why are they so weak when they say they are so strong? If you're strong, you should be talking and doing strong, not weak. People suck at communicating. Why do we suck at communicating with other humans? Maybe it's words. Where do we get words? Yeah, I know, they come from historical people, but where did those people get them from? How do you create all these words anyways? Maybe we just don't understand why we have words, so we're afraid to use them, or confused on how to use them with each other, because feeling seems to be automatic. Words are manual. Except, I guess your mouth is the clutch or something, because I don't know what the other pieces are. Blank. Nothing. People ask me how I stand from going crazy. I don't. I am crazy. I have to be crazy because you have to be crazy to think about the hard stuff. The normal people or at least the ones that call themselves normal, tell me they don't have time to waste on thinking about the difficult, hard stuff. Okay, sure. You go do your normal. I'll do my crazy. It tastes better, except for when I'm thirsty, or when I've eaten too much. Then it sucks. Someone told me once that I would be a good grandpa. Okay. That isn't really up to me, but okay. That person skipped some steps to get to that. A lot of steps. So I guess they're just as crazy as me. Nah, it won't work. Well, maybe. But we need Jesus to approve it first. And if he doesn't sign it, it's a no-go. No, I can't do meds. I can't do meds for the crazy. They would break my brain, and I can't have that. So maybe no being a grandpa. Meds are scary when even the people who make them don't know what many of the side effects they have, or how many side effects they have. That should be illegal. Why isn't that illegal? They'll want me calm. Everybody wants me calm. Everybody likes me more when I'm calm. They don't like it when I'm not calm. But I just use music for that. No meds needed. My guardian angel likes music too. Sometimes we just sit and listen together. It's nice. No one thinks Wally is real. At least no one I've talked to. But it is, and it will be sad by the time the rest of them realize that. How can I be both young and have an old soul? Isn't that impossible? Because then I would be old and not young, or have a young soul and be old, or something like that. I bet someone will have to make a Wally, though, because we all like our sleep and food too much. Plus, the important people who could change it don't listen to crazy people like me. They are too busy and don't hear someone small like me. I doubt they hear much from Jesus either, because he and his dad talk in small ways these days. Too bad for Earth. It could be better. The helpers seem to get ignored while things are okay, but when they go bad, then their phones ring in the middle of the night. Maybe that's why I'm so comfortable with the darkness. I'm a helper. Someone has to be awake for those emergency shouts of pain and distress. And it might as well be me answering the shouts and the calls. Perhaps Jesus called the crazy people to be the main helpers, because we have to be patient enough to deal with ourselves, that we can help others deal with themselves when they run into because we have to be patient enough to deal with ourselves that we can help others deal with themselves when they run into some crazy and don't know what to do with it. So the next time someone asks me why I want to help people, I should just say, because I'm crazy. Yeah, that'll work, right? Probably weird them out, but I could help them with that, so it would be fine. Even simpler than that, I should find someone asking me how to deal with the world and just reply, good music because it can fix things other stuff can't. I guess that's enough for one time, especially if I'm just talking to myself, but maybe not. I don't know.